The Washington Wizards finally trade Kyle Kuzma to the Milwaukee Bucks for Khris Middleton. So we're going to break down this trade and look at the pros, the cons, and how does the new arrivals fit with what the Wizards are trying to do in the short and long term. Come on, rock with your boys, man. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, introducing the Locked On Wizards daily newsletter, a one-stop shop for our ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app and head to FanDuel.com to get started. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy AB. Kyle Kuzma is finally traded. He is on his way to Milwaukee. That is, a.k.a. the Cream City, in exchange for Khris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, and spare parts in this deal, man. And, the pick swap. We're going to talk about that. So let's get into it, AB. So this is the breakdown of the trade. And this is the Milwaukee Bucks get Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and a 2025 second-round pick, which is actually the second most favorable of Washington's second-round picks collection. And the Wizards get Khris Middleton, combo guard A.J. Johnson, and a 2028 first-round pick swap. Now, with that, the Trailblazers do get the most favorable of those picks in the pick swap. So looking at this, AB, what is the pros, what are the cons, and what do you grade this trade?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to have a compensation for draft pick. The swap wasn't the biggest fan of it. I get it that the biggest pro, I guess you can say, is the addition by subtraction. You get rid of Kyle Kuzma. I mean, for everything that he's been doing recently with the comments post-game, and, even though he was playing well, he had a 30-point game, but still, you help the young guys out by increasing their minutes, and hopefully the team chemistry is better. You don't have to deal with Kyle Kuzma's cancer in the locker room, per se. I don't want to say he's a crazy cancer, but those comments, they were definitely towards that side. But again, you get A.J. Johnson, a first-round pick in this year's draft, young guy, pick 23. So now you have 4 first-rounders, and again, fits the timeline. That's the one thing that we always talked about is who fits the timeline. Now we bring in a young guy like him. Let's see what he can do. Again, we've seen what Keyshawn George can do. Alex Sarr at one point was leading a rookie of the year, not deal with the injury. And then Bub Carrington playing well. I mean, again, this team's on a 2-game winning streak. You see when these young guys develop and they all come together, it's going to be great. And you get rid of Kyle Kuzma. You bring in Khris Middleton. I think they're going to stick with him for a while. Mentor, don't really see him here in the long term. But again, the biggest thing was you got rid of Kyle Kuzma, and addition by subtraction. Obviously, give me up a second-round pick. It does suck because, again, it's our second-round pick. It's pretty high. But at the end of the day, you did what a lot of Wizards fans wanted, and that's you got rid of Kyle Kuzma.
So what do you trade? What do you grade the trade real quick?
Man, just because of the whole addition by subtraction, I'm still a little upset over the compensation. I'll give it a low B.
Okay, so you're thinking about me not B minus. Okay, I can dig it. So all right, let me dig into this, man. Pros. Looking at the pros. Okay, so Khris Middleton. Now, this is not your prime time, Khris Middleton. Obviously, he is in decline. 32, going to be 33 next year. So you're not getting prime Khris Middleton. He's definitely, there's a reason why they traded him, because he's not that guy anymore. Can he still shoot the 3-point shot? Absolutely. Can he still defend at an above average level? Absolutely. But again, you're not getting your prime time Khris Middleton. So looking at this contract situation with Khris Middleton, he has now supplanted Jordan Poole as having the higher salary on the team with $31 million this year. Now, he does have a player option for $33.2 million next year. Now, there has been reports that at first they were looking, they still up to the deadline tomorrow at 3:00. They're going to look to try to flip him again. But then there's other reports saying that, look, some people kind of want to keep him around for a while. So, definitely be on the lookout, because he could be moved again tomorrow, because the deadline is at 3:00. So definitely tune in tomorrow, everybody. But could they reship him somewhere else? Absolutely. But if you keep him, what are you gaining? Now, looking at the contract, the contract's not going to bog us down long term. It's not, because we're not really trying to make that next step till year 4 to rebuilds, year 2. So next year, we're trying to be just as bad as this year. And, the cap situation, he's not really hampering the situation, right? I mean, we gotta really fulfill so much of the cap anyway. So, I mean, I don't, to me, do you want all that money on on the books for a young rebuilding team? No. But like I said, I definitely think that if he stays, he's going to enact that player option. I mean, he's 33 next year, so he's going to enact that player option for 33.2 million. And like I said, it's not going to weigh us down long term because after next year, frees up some money. And like I said, we have important decisions coming up within the next 2 to 3, AB. Really the next 2 years, because after this year, you have 2 years left with Jordan Poole. Then after that contract, after that, man, you have Bilal Koulibaly coming up, for his rookie extension. So there's some hard decisions that need to be made. So the money's not going to tie us down long term. Now, where does he fit? And we'll get into that, where does he fit and what does he bring after the ad break, man. But like I said, the contract's not going to hold us down. Now, AJ Johnson, very raw, but very, very promising. I mean, he's got potential through the roof. Combo guard, 6'5". Now, he is 160 pounds, so he is a little twinner. We need to bring him to Ben's Chili Bowl and get some half smokes in him, man. Fatten him up a little bit.
Give him some gumbo or mumbo sauce, my bad.
Hey, man, gumbo, mumbo sauce, give him all of it, man. You know what I'm saying? So, kind of a twinner at 160. Definitely want to see him definitely gain some weight, man, so he can definitely hold his own on the defensive end. But he offers two things what the Wizards are trying to do, right? Versatility and three-point shooting. So he's only 20 years old. Let me double check on his age, but I believe he is only 20 years old. So let me pull this brother up real quick. I just had him. Where you at, man? Where you at, AJ? So I believe he is 20. Let me double check. No, yep, 20 years old. So AB, he's 20 years old. He fits the timeline. I mean, you have a guy who you can mold. I mean, he's a guy who, if you look at his contract situation, which is not bad at all. And his contract situation is he has 2 years left on his deal. Now, he does have a team option for the next 2 years. So next year, he'll be making $3.2 million. And the year after that, 5.4. So his contract, again, is a very good contract for a prospect who could fit the timeline. 2 years left, gives us enough time to really develop this guy further, really mold him to what we want to do. He's versatile. He can play the two guard. He can play point guard. He's 6'5", AB. He brings some size to the two guard and the point guard position. So, like I said, very raw. As very limited playing time with Milwaukee. But that's the biggest thing. What did we want from Will Dawkins at the trade deadline? Draft picks and young prospects. We're going to talk about the draft pick in a minute because, it is what it is. But as far as prospects in this move, you get a pretty good prospect in AJ Johnson. So, like I said, I'm very happy with this trade. Now, let's get to the pick swap. The positives behind that is, it's a pick swap. And a lot of people, when they look at 2028 and going towards 2030 and beyond, people are like, man, I don't want that. But I say time and time again, guys, draft picks have two purposes, right? Number one, early draft picks help you acquire young talent in the draft. Later draft picks, especially first rounders, help you have that leverage in trade talks to add that one significant piece that you want to add to a team that wants to, make a playoff push, like the Cleveland Cavaliers when they went out and got Donovan Mitchell. The same thing with the Timberwolves when they went out there and got Rudy Gobert. They had to spend draft capital to acquire these two guys who pushed them over the edge to that point to make a playoff push. So we need those later picks, man, because if we are relying on holding our own pick in those later drafts, we're not gonna have any leverage, man. So we got to have leverage. So pick swap, not the best. I'm not very excited about it, but I guess there's power in numbers, and we have a lot of picks, man. So we have a lot of capabilities going forward, especially when going into the 2025 and 2026 drafts, man. Because look, this draft coming up, Will Dawkins is going to be aggressive. He's going to try to trade back into the first round, and having these picks and pick swaps going to help do that. Am I thrilled about the pick swap? No, but to me, the pros outweigh the cons. To me, AJ Johnson is a nice young prospect. Is he raw? Yeah. But you have 2 more years after this year to mold him, develop him, and see if he's part of the future. With Khris Middleton, you could buy him out. Yeah, you could probably move him in another deal. But if you retain him, he's not going to break the bank. He's not going to really hold down our cap situation because we're not trying to do anything next year. So those are the prawns. The prawns. Look, I'm hungry. Thinking about prawns. Those are the pros. So looking at the cons, Khris Middleton, you have money. I get it. He's a guy in decline. He's not your dad's Khris Middleton. He's not the Khris Middleton in his prime. But like I said, he's a guy who can mentor. I think he's going to do better for the development of Bilal Koulibaly than Kyle Kuzma did. And it's not a knock against Kuz. Like I said, he's not here anymore. We knew what it was. The writing's on the wall. He needed to be moved. But I feel like that Khris Middleton is going to be able to be a really good mentor to Bilal Koulibaly and really help Bilal take that next step. Because, look, going into next year, AB, we need to see some progression in the year 3. We need to see something. And while I made it known that I'm willing to give a lot of leeway and give a lot of support to this front office and head coach BK in year 3 of a rebuild, man, we need to see some progression. So, like I said, I think that AJ Johnson, man, and another thing to really bring up before we move on is, we're going to get into that because, like I said, we're going to get into what do they bring to DC and where do they fit. So, before we get into that, guys, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in awarded winnings, Lord have mercy, PrizePicks makes it easy and fun to turn your sports knowledge into real cash, real money, baby, real greenbacks, right? So, guys, I do PrizePicks all the time. I play PrizePicks every single night. I like getting into just picking more or less on at least 2 player projections, right? And if you're right, you can win 1,000 times your cash. Let me say it again. 1,000 times your cash. PrizePicks has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Imagine that. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. So, like I said before, guys, I roll with PrizePicks every day, man. I love doing the over and unders and really trying to predict stats. So, do yourself a favor. Download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, AB, let's get into this, man. Let's move on. So, AJ Johnson and Khris Middleton. Number one, AB, what are they bringing to Washington?
Again, I talked about it. The timeline, that's the most important thing. Will Dawkins, we saw what he did with OKC. You get rid of Paul George, you get like a huge package in return, and a lot of those were draft picks. So again, you're bringing in young guys to see what they can prove. And Khris Middleton, I know Kyle Kuzma had that championship experience, but Khris Middleton was playing alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo, an international superstar. So maybe he could teach a thing or two to Bilal Coulibaly. Not saying Bilal is going to be Giannis, but at the end of the day, you're bringing experience. You're bringing a guy who I don't think is going to be a locker room cancer. Hopefully not. But I just think it's pro. And especially if they find a way to flip Khris Middleton for some more compensation, that would be amazing. And then at the end of the day, I'll keep going back to it. It's just addition by subtraction. I think that's the main theme that I'm trying to get at, because a lot of us wanted Kuz out because, again, the team chemistry was decreasing by every day, making those post-game comments in the locker room. So, and we want to see these young guys, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, shine. And I just think it was a good thing for both parties to move on. And man, Kuz can be that 3rd or 4th option in Milwaukee, but right now, the timeline and everything, it just clicks right now for DC.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. When it comes to what Khris Middleton brings to DC, I'm going to say this. Mentorship and veteran leadership. I mean, can he still play a little bit? Yeah. I mean, but, he's in decline, man. And there's a reason why they moved on from him and decided to trade for Kyle Kuzma. Now, I firmly believe that you're probably going to look at a scenario where there could be a buyout. But I think you definitely try to move him elsewhere in another deal, because I think Khris Middleton definitely wants to go out there and get that ring. I mean, does he really necessarily want to go on a rebuilding team? I don't think he will want to, man. Could he do a good job here? Yeah, but let's be real. It's all about youth movement now. It's all about extended playing time for these young guys. So, like I said, you can see a scenario where he stays and becomes a mentor. And like I said, it's not going to break the bank long term. But then I think if you're Will Dawkins, you definitely try to reflip him, tomorrow before the deadline and see if you can, move him to a contender and see if we can bring on more young prospects and try to get, a first-round pick. Maybe we dangle that pick swap and get a first-round pick. Try to be crafty tomorrow with Khris Middleton. So I think it's a win-win because, yeah, he's lost a step, but he can still be that mentor guy. And like I said, his contract's not going to hold us down long-term. But like I said, I think you definitely try to flip him tomorrow. And maybe later in the year, maybe you look at a buyout, because I think the biggest likelihood is you trade him, because buying him out, look, he's got a player option for $33.2 million, man. So he ain't buying nothing out, in my opinion. I mean, you could, but in my humble opinion, I don't think he's buying anything out, because that's a lot of money left on the table. So, I mean, past this year. So I don't see him really buying out, man, because like I said, he still has that player option. And at age 33, you're probably knacking that player option. AJ Johnson, who's I'm very intrigued about. I actually put an article out on Inside the Wizards on Sports Illustrated, man. So definitely, I recommend you guys check it out. I'm very high on AJ Johnson. 6'5" combo guard who, yes, at 160 pounds, he had a little weight, but he's a baller, man. High potential. I mean, 6'5" combo guard who can shoot. His defense is average in my opinion. And like I said, the resume on him is kind of short because he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time. Obviously, he's a rookie. And like you said, we have 4 first-round picks. If you add him to the mix of Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George, you have 4 first-round picks from this previous draft. And yes, it wasn't the most sexiest draft as far as talent, but you'll take young prospects when you can. And A.J. Johnson can play. We have 2 more years after this year to develop him. You still have the second half of this season. And to me, the biggest thing, the biggest enigma in all this is not A.J. Johnson, but Malcolm Brogdon. And it really goes into and slides into the next topic, which is where does he fit? And we're going to get into Khris Middleton because that's kind of easy, man. But looking at A.J. Johnson, where does he fit? I think that I would love to see what he and Bub Carrington can do in the second unit in that backcourt. But that's if you move on from Malcolm Brogdon, because right now, Jordan Poole's a guy. Kyle Kuzma is in Milwaukee. JP13 has formally been handed the keys and is now youth movement in DC. So, but A.J. Johnson, I think you give him extended playing time in the same backcourt with Bub Carrington if you move him from Malcolm Brogdon. Now, if Malcolm Brogdon stays, which is a high chance that he does stay, then you're probably looking at, 10, 15 minutes a night. That's what I would try to get him. Or you could send him to the Capital City Go-Go and give him extended playing time, get that confidence up, and then hitting into next year, see if he can be that guy in the second unit of Bub Carrington, depending on where they want to play Bub and what the vision is for Bub long term. I think you give Bub the time to develop. Don't force him to be in the starting 5. You got Jordan Poole. You got Balak, who can play the 2. You don't have to rush Bub. Give him the time to develop. But there's a lot of questions. Like, it really depends on what they do with Malcolm Brogdon. Like I said, Malcolm Brogdon does have interest around the league. But the biggest thing right now that I've heard is that, look, teams are scared because of that injury history. $22.5 million is a lot of money for a guy who may or may not be available for a playoff push. So, like I said, I can see Brogdon. To me, if I'm a betting man, Brogdon probably stays because of the injury history and the price tag. And which is good because we have a veteran guy who could be a good mentor to Bub Carrington, to an A.J. Johnson, to, Jordan Poole is still a young player who is developing, even though he is closer to his prime than everybody else on the roster outside Khris Middleton. But, I think this is a good trade. Now, I didn't even grade it. I graded, I'm with you, man. I'm going to give it a B-. And because the pick swap, I'm not in favor of the pick swap. And I'm not in favor of giving away a second-round pick. But I'm not too upset about a second-round pick. But in year 2 of rebuild, I just don't want to start giving away picks. I want to accumulate. I don't want to give away. So I'm not the biggest fan of giving away the second-round pick, even though it is a second-round pick. And the pick swap is just, Portland gets the better of the deal. So you didn't even come out of the deal with, having an advantage of the pick swap. So it's kind of pointless in my opinion, because, if you're going to do a pick swap, you want to be that team on top. You don't want to be the guy in the middle or getting the worst of the deal, because what is the point? And, I definitely thought we could have finessed the first-round pick out of Milwaukee, man, because we're doing them a favor by not only one, taking a bad contract off the books for them, we're giving them a player in Kyle Kuzma who's going to be productive in Milwaukee, and his contract is one of the best contracts in the league as far as it descends after each and every year. So they can add pieces each and every year to try to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. Because look, let's be real, AB, the window's closing for Milwaukee, man, and the window's closing on Antetokounmpo being in Milwaukee. They have to try to make a playoff push a lot sooner than later, man. So it behooves them to add talent. And like I said, with Kuzma's contract, it gives them the capabilities to do so. Because we gave less salary out and we took more in than Milwaukee. We gave $23.5 million, I believe, and then we took in $31 million. So we did them a favor. So I felt like we had to leverage, and I'll be real with you. I expected the first round pick because I felt like we had to leverage to get one. And the pick swap, I'm not the biggest favor. I'm not in favor of the pick swap because if you're going to do a pick swap, you have to be the team that comes out on top of the pick swap. You don't come out with the worst of the deal, man. It's just it kind of negates the whole purpose of a pick swap. So I'm not in favor of the pick swap. It's a second round pick in 2025. So it is what it is. But I don't want to start giving picks out because what's that tell you about Kuz? It tells you that they waited to the last daggone minute to trade this guy. And they waited till his value was in the toilet to move this guy when you had a deal last year to Dallas and I get not wanting to take on Grant Williams' contract. But then you had the perfect situation with number 13, Sacramento, you retained Denny Avia, you still go get Bub, and you're still in a position to get Keyshawn George. So, like I said, I like the trade overall. Give it a B-. I do like the trade. I do like A.J. Johnson. Khris Middleton, the jury's out, but the pick swap is a miss. But overall, I'll say this. I'm going to give this front office the benefit of the doubt for this year. Next year, I need to see something. I need to see something next year. I've been a big supporter of this front office, and I will remain a big supporter because I believe in Will Dawkins and president of the basketball operation, Michael Winger. But I'm not doing my due diligence by not doing my job as an analyst, as a writer, as the member of the media. We need to see something because the Kyle Kuzma conundrum was an L, a huge L. It was fumbled, in my humble opinion. You can look at other things like the Tyus Jones, KP not getting anything from them, even though we all knew the likelihood of that happening was very real. But to me, this is the first hiccup by this front office. The Kyle Kuzma situation, we did not get anything close to what we could have got for him last year or even in the offseason. And this is an L. AJ Johnson, yes, I like the fact that he got a prospect. Khris Middleton, we tried to move him, but let's be real, man. That's not going to be easy. How many teams are going to win? Kind of like Malcolm Brogdon. How many teams are going to want to take on $31 million for a guy who's declining? Who on a contending team at this point, is Khris Middleton even a fourth option right now at this stage of his career on a contender? That's a good question. So, like I said, I'm gonna give it a B-. I do like AJ Johnson, but I'm not in favor of the pick swap and the 2025 second round pick. It's a second round pick. I get it, but I just don't want to be in a situation where we're already giving away picks. They fumbled the Kyle Kuzma situation, so it's going to be a B-, in my opinion. So before we roll on, man, you got anything else you want to cover as far as the Kuzma to Milwaukee trade, AB?
Yeah, I think they have a good amount, a good instinct on AJ Johnson, thinking that he can fit the timeline. He can be pretty well off here and find a home here in DC. But again, I think the biggest thing, I'll read it one more time. You got rid of Kyle Kuzma. Again, you help develop these young guys in Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Jordan Poole. Like the locker room drama, like it just got way less. And now you look into the second half of the season and say, all right, let's see what these young guys can do. We can't use the excuse no more that these vets are taking up their minutes. You got to go out there and ball out and see some improvement.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, man. So we're going to get in the comments. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. Oh, look. All right. So you guys know I love me some FanDuel, man. I'm definitely going to be very active during the Super Bowl, man, even though I'm not in favor of the Super Bowl because I hate both teams. But it is what it is. There's a lot of betting action you can definitely get in on with FanDuel during the Super Bowl and beyond, man. NBA season, baseball season coming up. FanDuel keeps it interesting all year long. Download the app and head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5. And if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, the official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, Abe, let's get in the comments, man. Like I said, I appreciate everybody showing up, man. And I'm going to pull up a comment real quick because it kind of leads me into the next thing real quick. So let me pull it up before we really get into the nitty-gritty of the comments. Man, that's an old statement. Nitty-gritty. Good Lord. So let me see. I just had it. All right, so this is from Stephen Fine, or Finn. And like I said, this is going to be, we're doing this video right after this video, man. So we're going to be covering this video. It's going to be a shorter video. So you definitely, you guys get in the comment section right now. Let me know if you guys want to go live. We will go live. And if not, we're just going to put a video out there. But we will be covering the Jonas Valanciunas trade. So read his comment real quick. Sean Sharanian, the Washington Wizards are trading Jonas Valanciunas to the Sacramento King for CD Sissoko and 2 second-round picks. Sources tell ESPN. So, like I said, I've already put the shorts out, put the information up, and that's the next video. So we're going to be putting out there. So you guys get in the comment section, let us know if you want to go live. But that is going to be following this video. But appreciate you, Stephen Finn, Stephen Fine. Boom, boom, boom. All right, Luke Feldman says D- grade deal. Not understanding the vision, taking non-tradable assets. Brogdon at $22.5 million, Middleton at 31. Will Dawkins has been struggling at the negotiating table in all these deals. I will say this, man, and like I said, I'm trying to give this front office a benefit of the doubt. They got my support. I do need to see something next year, AB, but you can look, I know he's a first-time general manager, man, but he's got to put his foot down and be aggressive. Teams are finessing him as opposed to him finessing other teams, in my opinion. I mean, Middleton, I have no problem taking on a bad contract. That's the best, when you're rebuilding a team, the models, Oklahoma City Thunder, they are notorious for what? Accumulating draft picks and taking on bad contracts. So that's the MO. So I'm not against Middleton because let's be real, we're not doing anything this year or next. And the real magic happens year 4 or 5 of this rebuild. We're year 2. So I'm not mad at that. But I feel like the pick swap that I'm not in favor. I think he could have really finessed a first round pick. And I'm, what dog is I think? Look, he's an upgrade from Ernie Grunfeld and Thomas Shepard. Let's be real. He's an upgrade. But we need to see something next year. We need to see something. And I feel like he could have pushed the envelope and really finessed for a first round pick. Are you with me, AB? Or do you agree?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, even though the bar was set so low with Shepard and Grunfeld, definitely you want to be aggressive. I kind of compare it to the whole. I know we're Commanders fans, but that first year of Josh Harris, he stuck it with Ron Rivera and crew, and then we waited year 2. We need to see some improvement. NFC championship appearance in year 2. So it doesn't have to be that much of a big difference, but some sort of improvement. And it just, if it's a recurring theme of us getting finesse or we're not getting as much as we think we should in trade packages, then you got to be somewhat concerned.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Locked on Law, my guy, what's up? Says, I just love when people come into the comment section with zero understanding of how you have to undo years of Ernie Grunfeld and Thomas Shepard before you can start building or rebuilding anything. I agree 100%. You have to undo the previous regime before you start building, man. I mean, it is what it is. You have to undo everything. Look, they traded Denny. They traded Rui. Looking at Kispert. I love me some Kispert, man, but he probably is going to be moved in the offseason because every general manager, look, let me get it out, AB. Every general manager, right, puts their own mark on the team. And Will Dawkins is doing that. So I agree with Locked on Law, man. You got to understand that you can't just build and create a contender in 2 to 3 years. You have to undo, and then build and then maintain before you start making those significant strides, man. So I'm with it on that. Jimmy, go outside. Love it. What's up? He says, oh, daggone. Bye, Jonas. Brandon better start watching some CD tape before the podcast. And I got to admit, man, I haven't seen too much of CD Kosoko, man. Like I said, Sissoko. It's gonna take me a minute to get it down.
Yeah, these last names are gonna give us a headache.
I'm telling you, man. But like I said, we're gonna cover him in the next video. But he's intriguing. He is, but very raw, man. Very raw. He's 6'8" forward, so I love his size. In the previous, he was San Antonio. He was briefly with Chicago. Locked on Law kind of said that. Sissoko didn't even have time to leave Chicago before he got traded again. So very limited time in Chicago. Very limited. I mean, I don't think he got out the plane, right? Joshua Cotton says, finally, Bulletproof is gone. Thank God Almighty. I'm with you, man. Praying hands for real. I mean, finally, we got Bulletproof off the roster, man. I mean, it took some time, but like I said, let me say this about Kyle Kuzma, man. I mean, the body language, the comments, so many reasons why he kind of burned bridges on the way out, but I wish him well. I mean, he came here, he did his job. He kind of like Bradley Bill. He left burning bridges, man. The comments, this and that. But I wish him well. And there's no ill will. And he didn't break the law. He didn't go out here and do anything crazy. I mean, just he talked a little too much, spent a little too much time on X. But I wish him well in Milwaukee. He definitely hopes he gets that next ring, man. So it's all love, man. But like I said, he definitely didn't do himself any favors on the way out. But it's all love, man. I hope that Clutch Kuz does his thing in Cream City because that puts him closer to home too. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's right up there near Michigan, man. So hopefully, he's able to kind of be closer to home. But it is what it is. Fred Fezzo says Middleton will mentor Be Cool better than Kuzma. I like that assessment. I agree, man. Kuz just didn't take him under his wing like JP did. And I think that if Middleton stays, man, he could be a really good influence on Be Cool because look, the second half of the season, watch out. Be Cool has more responsibility, guys. He is now the number 2 option in my eyes. JP13 is the guy. He's running the show. So no excuses now with these 2 guys. I fully expect that JP13 is going to be very aggressive in the second half. And the same thing with Bilal Koulibaly. I definitely believe that they're both going to be really, really aggressive in the second half. So let's see. Luke Feldman says, if Dawkins doesn't finesse for Cam Whitmore or another actual quality young talent, I've lost faith in this guy. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I do, hey, Luke, I definitely get what you're coming from, man. But to me, for somebody who wanted to rebuild, I have to give them a lot more than 2 years, man. I mean, I can't really in year 2 say, oh, man, it's not working. You got to give it time. I mean, you got to give them time. And while I do want to see some progression going into year 3, I'm not ready to really say that this front office is yay or nay. I'm just not because you got to give them that time. So, but I do understand where you're coming from. And like I said, if you are ready to lose faith in them, like I said, to each his own, and I get you. I got it. But to me personally, I'm not ready to be there yet, man. Jimmy Go Outside says that Wiz 2025 first rounder should be good enough to attract Cam Whitmore. I mean, not the 2025, man. I ain't doing that. Maybe later. But right now I think Houston's gonna be very hesitant to move on from him and Reed Shepard. I think that Cam Whitmore is not attainable, man. They're gonna be very hesitant to move on from young talent because they're probably looking to move on from vets. Van Fleet, very surprised. And I gotta go look at the trades, man, because Van Fleet might be on the other team by the time the video is over. Because this deadline has been rolling, boy. Let's see. Locked Law says Kisper's our best shooter. Don't wonder we stink. Man, it'll be like that, man. Kisper can shoot. Kisper's a sniper. Now, you could argue he's been very inconsistent. Absolutely. I ain't gonna argue that. Very inconsistent, but Kispert is a good, he's a good shooter, man. He's been really up and down this year, but nah, man. Kispert, he can play. Let's see. Locked Law also says Middleton is 33 with a player option for 32.5 million next year. He's not going anywhere, is my guess. Yeah, I mean, if they don't move him tomorrow, I don't see him being bought out because he has so much money left on the table. He's going to be here and he's going to enact that player option. I would. I mean, 33, he's not going to get that money in on the market. Let's be real. He's not getting 33 or 32.5 in the open market. So he's going to be here. And then, like I said, the money's not going to tie us down. Next year is going to be Groundhog Day. It's going to be like year 2 and 1. I mean, the first 3 years are where you're going to be pretty bad. Now, years 4 and 5, you want to see significant progression, especially from your young core, man. Especially year 5 and 6, you're making a major move. And that's where those later draft picks really come in to help this team, man. Let's see. All right, man. Let's like I said, we are at the 31-minute mark. So got a lot of content to put out, guys. So we're not going to be super on here because, like I said, you guys let us know if you want to go live, man. Eliza, we got a Bucks fan in here. So let's see what the Bucks fans think of this. As a Bucks fan, I'm disgusted. I mean, so let me ask you, Eliza, is it over Khris Middleton or AJ Johnson? So that's my question for you, but I want to know what you guys think about that. Eliza says, as Wizards fans, do you have anything positive to offer? I watched daggone near every game of Khris' career. Good Lord, really? I mean,
I guess it's like an attachment thing. Maybe like I don't know, but I mean, again, I maybe he's not a big fan of Kyle Kuzma.
I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, you can't argue that Khris Middleton was declining at this stage in his career, man. And I think that Kuz he will do a good job in Milwaukee, man, because he doesn't have to shoulder the load offensively like he does in DC. You've got Giannis who's going to shoulder 85% of the load, and you got Dame Lillard who, he's you can argue Giannis probably 35%, and Dame Lillard 35% of the offensive load. Kuzma can come in, do his thing, and doesn't have to shoulder the load. So I think he's going to do well. And Khris Middleton, like, he's declining because if he still had it, man, he would not be in Washington right now. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. No Breaks New. My God, No Breaks New, man. I say it all the time. Man, check my brother's podcast out. Shout out to No Breaks New, man. Much love to my guy, Kuz and JV. It was time. Not happy with what we got in return, but we knew value was low. I'm just happy the kids get to play with no 4 on roster. Vuk should play. Middleton. Oh, that brings up a good point, man. With fit, I mean, I don't see Middleton at the 4, and you don't really have a clear replacement. Now, if we make other moves, maybe we go get a guy who can play the 4. I mean, you're probably looking at right now it's Keyshawn George. And look, when Keyshawn George and even Justin Shimpney, when they played when Kuzma was out, they did well. I'm not saying they're long-term options because I see George, Keyshawn more as a 2 guard in a wing. He sees himself as a guard. It's 6'8", but he's more so of a 2 or a 3. So the starting 5 right now to me is the Jordan Poole, the 1, 2 Bilal, 3 Khris Middleton, the 4 you're probably looking at Keyshawn George. That's where a lot of depth charts are showing, and of course Sar at the 5. But Vuk is very intriguing, man. I wouldn't, I think you certain matchups, AB. Would you mind seeing Vuk at the 4 in certain matchups, tall lineups?
Yeah, of course. Because again, it goes back to the vets are gone. Now let's see what we got with the young guys. And Vucevic, he's shown flashes. So I don't see why not. Again, we want to showcase these young guys that fit the timeline. We got nothing to lose, man. Again, this is all about this rebuild and just see who's going to be here for the long term.
Yep, I'm with you on that, man. So my guy, DC Onion, man, always keeps it 100, man. Says Dawkins is overrated. And like I said, if that's your take, I respect that, man. Like I said, I can get, I get if you don't like the moves, I get that. Man. But I'm giving him next year. I said it when he got the job. When him and Michael Winger came in, I said I'm gonna give him 3 years till I start really critiquing what the direction is, man. Because look, it's rebuild. I'm giving 3. I'm gonna give them next year. And then but I need to see some progression next year. So like I said, to each his own. Not gonna knock you, man. Like I said, much love, my brother. Like I'm not ready yet. You are. That's cool. I get it, man. Like I said, I get it. I totally get it from every perspective. Um, let's see. DC Onion said, doing Tommy Shepard like poop, pretty much. Trading for a kid from France. Dawkins wants the French Wizards. That's right. Because Sissoko is a French national, so you have another French player. So I mean, we're going to have a lot of French speaking players in this team, man. Pulabali says they need to flip Brogdon. I agree. You definitely try to move on for Brogdon, man. But like I said, it's risky because that price tag and the injury issues. I believe he's now dealing with a foot injury again, for what I've gathered. So good Lord, man. So all right, guys, we're gonna get to this, man. I can't answer everybody's question, man. Let's see, we're at the 35-minute part. So I'm gonna do 2 more questions. And then you guys let me know if you want to go live. If so, we will. But I cannot hit everybody's question because we still got a lot of content to get out, guys. So let's see. Nomadic Brian says, trust BN Wizards. we. Let's see. I'm gonna do one more, guys. And like I said, I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Rock with you guys, man. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Equal Play says, would you rather trade Brogdon for 2 second-round picks or Kispert for 1 first-round pick? I'd rather hold on to Brogdon, let him walk, and then let Kispert build his value up and get a first-round pick. What about you, AB?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there because, again, we just want to accumulate as many draft picks as you can. So at the end of the day, it's just all about the timeline and what's good for the future. Because, again, these vets, whether it was Brogdon, Valanciunas, or Kuzma, obviously you need mentorship. But at the end of the day, I don't know if those young guys to learn, they just have to play.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. So I think the jury is out. My guy, Pulabali says, we good. We got a game tonight. So like you said, guys, we got a video coming out right after this video going over to Jonas Valanciunas to the Sacramento Kings trade. And then we're going to go live tonight recapping the Wizards at the Brooklyn Nets. So like I said, we're not going to go live for the next one because I don't want you guys to get tired of us, man. So like I said, definitely watch the video though. We're going to go ahead and push out the video after this video. And then we're going live tonight following the Wizards at Brooklyn Nets game. So definitely rock with us then. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, a lot of content coming out today. Definitely look out for the Jonas Valanciunas trade video. It's going to be probably a 10 to 15-minute video. And then we're going live tonight following the Wizards Nets game. So this is bound to be one heck of a game, man. All right. So, all right, guys, we will catch you guys tonight. Definitely catch the next video. We're going to break down the Jonas Valanciunas trade. And then we're going live at 10 o'clock following the Wizards versus Nets matchup. So guys, hail to the Wizards and peace. We'll see you guys soon.